Could you all please remain seated while the rest of the official party enter? Could you all please stand and help in joining in the singing of the national anthem, which will be led by our choir and the school band.
The rest of the official party will now enter.
Well done, you said that a few times.
Mrs. Wendman, special guests, members of staff and fellow students. Welcome to this special assembly to celebrate the 5th anniversary of the opening of Cherrybrook Technology High School. As school captains, Kate Shirt and I are very proud to be your compares for today.
We would like to extend an especially warm welcome to Dr. Alan Lachlan, Assistant Director General of Education, Ms. Trish Kelly, Director of Personnel, Policy and Planning, Dennis Osborne, Superintendent for the Hornsby District, Barry O'Farrell, for the Member of Northcote, Eric Whitehouse and Kim Delaney, representing IBM, Graham Mosley from Sydney University, George Cooney from Macquarie University, Tim Charles in Orgurul, President of the PNC Association, Jeanette Hooper, President of the PNC Association, and Brian Boyd, President of the School Council. Thank you for taking time out from your busy schedules to help us in celebrating this special day.
It is fitting that our first speaker today should be the person who has led the school since the first administrative office was established in a demountable building on the upper playground. Our principal, Mrs. Lynn Wentman.
Thank you, Joel. Welcome to our 5th birthday. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces and know that many of you have assisted us and worked with us in the development and achievements so far. In February 1992, at the first assembly, I looked out at 450 students and 38 teachers and said that these wonderful buildings were only empty shells, which would remain so unless people filled them with the vital missing elements. Their work and fun, their learning interactions, achievements and sharing would fill the school with its heart and its soul, with memories and traditions, with times of celebrations and occasions of shared sorrow, and that together we could make this a school of excellence, one we would all be proud of. So it is with great pride and affection for the wonderful students, staff, parents and others who make up this school community that I report how successfully you have all worked together in the past 5 years. It's 1997 now. We have 1,330 students, over 100 staff, and the original accommodation has been extended by 50% with 21 demountables. This baby's sure been a fast developer. Over those 5 years, we've had annual expenditures of over $1 million a year. We've accessioned more than 17,000 books and library items. We've purchased, covered and distributed close to 17,000 textbooks. We spent nearly $750,000 on technology. We've welcomed 1,300 into Year 7 and we've graduated over 500 from Year 12. We now have graduates who've done everything from play in rock groups or orchestras, catch salmon in the Canadian waters, become accountants, computer programmers, own their own businesses, become executive chef on Hayman Island, work overseas as missionaries or students, go on to university or TAFE to study medicine, vet science, acupuncture, food technology, tourism, or do business degrees. Our results in the HSC have always been sound, but in 1996, with our first full year graduating, we received particularly excellent results with performances above state averages. And our results in the school certificate, in maths and science competitions, and more recently in the ELA test that Year 7 have just sat, indicate the depth of academic ability within this school and augur well for the future. We opened in 1992 with 200 local students in Year 7, 110 Year 8s who came from Pennant Hills High School, where they'd attended while waiting for this school to open, and over 100 Year 11s who came to us from more than 32 different schools from across Sydney. Now our student body largely comes from 3 primary schools: Cherrybrook, John Purchase and Oak Hill. Almost all our students live locally. We began with more boys than girls, and now we have almost equal numbers of boys and girls. Most spend 6 years here. But there's one unique group in Year 11 currently who will spend 7 years at Cherrybrook Technology High School, because they were part of the 2 John Purchase 6th class groups who were housed in 2 classrooms in this building in 1992. I need to regress a little bit to a day in August 1990 when I decided to apply for the principal's job, and to complete my application I thought I should find out a bit about this school. So I drove down from Newcastle, found the site, wandered through the gates, and I was immediately beset by a large group of very angry men in workers' uniforms and hard hats. Apparently it almost caused a stop work, because I didn't know you weren't supposed to trespass on a building site. Luckily they were fairly forgiving, and they showed me some plans and took me for a bit of a walk. And I've always wondered if the reason I was successful in gaining the position was because I was perhaps the only applicant who knew things like there would be a central library and 1 staff room and a computer network and horticulture building, but I think the pièce de resistance was I knew there was a swimming pool on site. And they'd told me that it would have green grass and palm trees around it. I think I was in there at that stage. So by 1991 I was joined by Dave Wilson and Peter Gillam, and we had an incredible year in the middle of building chaos. We had our own hard hats and we attended building meetings instead of staff meetings. People like Stan Pazdersky, Chris Chulos, Don Ellis and others put up with our stupid questions as they patiently explained why we couldn't move this wall, make that room bigger, or raise that floor. We began at that time our still strong links with IBM, Roland, Lotus and other companies. have all added immeasurably to the educational experiences our students share. As the first purpose-built technology high school, we were then, and in some ways still are, a showcase from before even the school opened, as we showed teachers and educators from across Australia and the world the facilities that our students would use. For career teachers who had worked all their lives in schools, for Dave, Peter and I, that was a fascinating year as we worked with industry reps, with DSE personnel, and we met the great group of parents who had agitated to have this school built, when others said that they would never need a high school in Cherrybrook because the population would never warrant it. Surprise, surprise. This area now has one of the densest youth populations in Sydney. We worked with those parents to set the directions for the school, and that legacy and commitment to education continues now, with the P&C, the Canteen Committee, the teams of parents who cover books and drive students to sporting events, and to the efforts of the school council. This surely must be the only school that had approval to start a school council 12 months before the school was even finished being built. So why am I so proud of this school? I only have to reflect on some of the individual achievements the students have accomplished, like Vincent Chong's Minister's Award for Excellence, Kapil Kulkarni and David Chu taking the double at the National Work Skills Computer Programming competition recently, Nicole Moisey singing at the School Spectacular, students exhibiting every year in Art Express, to the group efforts where the band went to America at the end of the year. We've had groups in drama groups in state displays and competitions, to all of the students who achieved so well at the end of last year and won the Spring Zone Sports Trophy, and to the dedication of students, staff and parents who kept the Duke of Edinburgh Award alive and strong in the school, to the commitment and staff and students to Streamwatch and to improving the environment, which led to the major award from Hornsby Council last year. If I look at the staff, I reflect on Glenn Dudley's excellent maths program, which is used across so many schools now, to Scott Smith's work on MapInfo, the software for geographers, which is distributed widely across Australia, to Mark Watson's Rotary Award for Pride of Workmanship, and to his Rotary Scholarship to visit Italy, to Carol Osborne, who's written a successful maths textbook for the new Year 9 syllabus, to Richard Evans, who has recently completed a physics text, and to Dave Wilson's famous administration program, which is coveted by so many other schools. I also see with David and with Peter Gillam and the rest of the executive a strong and supportive team whose good humour and hard work keep this place going. I've seen many such other examples in my career, but never have I seen so much talent and so much commitment to achievement as I am privileged to see in this school. Never have I seen so much confidence, enthusiasm and a desire for excellence as is shared amongst the members of this school community. Visitors comment that they feel a sense of purpose and commitment to learning amongst the teachers and students in classrooms. And parents talk to me of how the teachers treat their child as an individual who is both valued and liked for their unique qualities. Like any large community, we have had our problems and our rough patches. Setting up the school was a huge task for staff, parents and students. The acquisition of resources has taken a huge amount of our budget. We always need and want more technology to achieve our aims. And sickness and loss has also visited our school. The death of a young teacher, Phil Hamilton, last year caused everyone pain and sorrow, but it also drew us together as a family to celebrate his lifetime and to honour his achievements. So much of what happens in this school happens because staff and students working together make it happen. They involve not just the few, but the majority, and their confidence is catching, and that's why I'm so very proud of them today. 5 years is only a short time in the life of a school. But like any family which celebrates birthdays and anniversaries, it was time for us to celebrate our beginnings so we can look ahead and set our sights for an even better future. Today is a fun day, a day to celebrate, and I need to thank Russell Summerhays, who has coordinated today's events, to Carol Wimmer, who has organised the entertainment, and to Linda Kennedy, who has coordinated the catering. There are so many others, but those three deserve special mention. Today was much easier than this day 5 years ago. At a very formal opening ceremony, attended by more dignitaries than most schools see in a lifetime, Nick Greiner, the then Premier, Bruce Baird, who was our local member, Virginia Chadwick, the Minister for Education, and Ken Boston, the Director General of Education, all took a part in opening the school. Think of the work involved for the staff and the students in a school that was barely 14 weeks old. To put together a slick performance when we had no band, no drama groups, no choir, no public speakers, and yet we had to come up with the goods. One of the solutions was for the whole school to be a choir. They became a 450-strong choir, and together they sang these words for the visitors who were here. Here on the hill, high on the hill, we bid you welcome today. Welcome, welcome all. Welcome to our school. Welcome to Cherrybrook. Welcome to this special day. So once again, welcome to Cherrybrook. As you listen to the music for which those words were written, and watch as the Stage 5 dance class sets the theme for today. Thank you.
The Stage 5 dance class is the first of the items on a program that aims to give an overview of the curriculum outcomes that have been achieved by this school in the past 5 years. As well as aiming for excellence in academic achievements, students from all key learning areas have become involved in local, district and state activities, from exhibiting livestock at the Castle Hill Show to winning national programming competitions, from district debating and public speaking finals to solo performances at the school spectacular, from district and state drama festivals to representing the district, state and nation on the sporting fields. The school's policies on equity and support are also very important. The next item is an excellent example of this. The Year 9 boys English class have developed a performance based on conflict. This will be followed by the school choir singing the Skyboat song, an address by Elizabeth Ubaldi of Year 8, and the school band playing highlights from Beauty and the Beast.
Conflict, differences,
Murder. Fatal.
danger, war, racism, death,
Pain.
chaos, battle, violence, rape.
Conflict, a fight, a disagreement, a clash of ideas, or differences between two parties. Conflict is not only war, it can occur within families, groups, and ourselves.
War begins.
Wars of this nature are a thing of the past, but present and future conflicts show damage in different ways, but the result is still the same. Small-scale wars appear in modern life on our sporting fields. Game ends in brawl. Nazi salute shocks soccer. Commonwealth Bank steps down in sponsoring boys' football. The war continues.
Conflict can also occur against individuals. Conflict causes fear and pain to others and ourselves. The war continues. Conflict kills, so don't start it.
the end of year 6, my official nickname was Techhead, simply because I told everyone that I was going to attend CTHS. There were only 3 people from my primary school coming here, but I'm glad I ignored them, because now they're complaining that they're bored at their new schools and I'm not. I remember arriving nearly 45 minutes early for my first day at school because I was so excited. We had to play get-to-know-you games that day, the first of many to continue on for weeks and weeks. But they did come in handy, so thanks to the helpful Year 11 peer support leaders, I was able to make many new friends when I only knew 2 people out of the 1,300 at the school to begin with. It's funny how things like this stay in your mind and become part of your memory. For about the first term, I was afraid of anyone who was bigger than I was, so that's basically the whole school. I tried to avoid going where anyone who wasn't in Year 7 was, so that meant turning around every time I headed near the library, quickly using the toilets, and running down the stairs to avoid being asked if I have any spare change to give at the canteen. After working my way up to Year 6, after 7 years of schooling at St. Agatha's Primary, I considered it to be quite a big feat. Suddenly, I was thrust into a much larger school with 1,300 students instead of 500, and senior students who were much older, scarier, and definitely larger. Since I'm only in Year 8, this is my 2nd year here at Cherrybrook, but my outlook on this school so far is definitely a positive one. Being exposed to many different and varied subject areas is great. Here at Cherrybrook, I have many opportunities to do just that. And with a growing and changing world, we are able to use the new technology that's being offered here. A great thing about this school is that students are taught how to use these new types of technology. In a world trying to adapt to many technological changes, we here at Cherrybrook are learning how to survive in a changing society. One thing I like about this school is the amount of student input. I think it's important to listen to the students' views. And with the Student Representative Council that holds various functions to raise money and committees for every year to cater for that particular grade's needs, it's very easy to have your say at this school. There's a saying which states, happy workers are hard workers. In this case, happy students are hard-working students. Cherrybrook is a young school that's setting the standards for the future schools of Australia. Unlike many schools that have been open for years and years, today we are only celebrating our 5th anniversary. Although this is a new school, we have produced many outstanding results, not only in academic areas, but in other extracurricular and out-of-school activities. Many old schools are rooted in tradition. At Cherrybrook, we are just barely setting our roots down, and slowly but surely, this school will flourish as we head into the 21st century. After all, my fellow students and I will be in Year 11 in the year 2000. We will be part of the 21st century, and because of our educational upbringing at this school, we will be able to leave a lasting impression on the new world.
One of the people who played a very important role in establishing our school was our first cluster director, Mrs. Deanna Herman. Mrs. Herman, now the principal of Chatswood High School, has been invited back to the school today to give us a broader view of the original school community and its aims for the school. Following Mrs. Herman will be a video presentation of historic moments from the past 5 years, called appropriately Memories.
Mrs. Wentman, staff, students of Cherrybrook Technology High School, happy birthday. It's an extraordinary morning, extraordinary for many reasons. Your school, students, didn't happen by chance. There are many people in the audience this morning who contributed many hours of their time, their enthusiasm, their vision, and they worked very hard, even fought, to secure a school in this area. It was interesting that out of their fight grew the idea of a normal high school. This was to be Cherrybrook High School. In 1988, following the election when the past Liberal government was in power, there was a decision taken by a very controversial figure, in fact, if you care to read your history, but a man who indeed was very adamant that this school would become one of the flagships of Australian education, and that was Dr. Metherell, and he declared that this school would now change and become Cherrybrook Technology High School. It was interesting. I remember attending meetings with Mr. Charles, who's in the audience today, who was one of those parents who had extraordinary vision about how this school might be. And I remember hearing some very worried things about this new school. It was to become a technology high school, but whatever did that mean? It was extraordinary because the school was, first of all, to be a very different type of building. Probably for those of you who haven't been in many high schools, you won't realise how extraordinarily different some of the thinking behind this school at the time was. This, in fact, was to be a school that would set both building standards and design for the schools across the rest of the state. And it still does. There were many, many lessons that were learned. And there are a number of wonderful people who are here today. Mr. Tulos, the architect, who had extraordinary vision. Mr. Stan Podersky, who at that stage was headhunted. Never before had we had a school built, which was built in such a short period of time, and it required extraordinary talent. Most importantly, and most controversially, I guess, was the fact that this was the first school that would involve the corporate world, the business world. That was something that Dr. Metherell was exceedingly adamant about having happen. But he was very, very fortunate indeed, because sitting in this vicinity, not too far away, was also an extraordinary man, one that you may read of in the press, called Mr. Brian Finn. And Mr. Finn at that time was the managing director of IBM, the chief executive officer. And those two gentlemen got together, and there was an extraordinary vision emerged that this school would indeed, with the help of IBM, become an example of what might happen for our students in the future. It was interesting this morning listening to the news about Big Blue and the chess game, and it brought back many memories for me about the extraordinary chess game we played when we tried to put together the ideas for those things which the students here today enjoy. This school was to explore new learning structures. It was intended that it would be different. There are some of these ideas that certainly happen more than others. It was to involve the community, and I was so excited here today to see Mrs. Nan Horn, who many of you students will probably know is a member of the Hornsby Municipal Council. And if it hadn't been for Mrs. Horn and her extraordinary courage in having this hall part built by the Hornsby Council, she believes so strongly in the concept. This wouldn't be here today in this form or shape without her extraordinary efforts on your behalf. There was Mr. Bruce Baird, who unfortunately isn't here today, but his work, his offering of his staff, the way in which each of these groups worked all together. Mrs. Wentman referred to the way in which she thought she was selected. The school was unique. This was the first school in the state that actually adopted a new approach to staffing. In the past, in earlier days, people like myself were appointed to schools. That's where you're going, you've worked this long, you have so many credit points, that's where you're going. Not in this school. It was all done very much the same way as business do it, and it was called a process of merit selection. And a panel of us interviewed an extraordinary number of people. The applications for the jobs in this school came from all over Australia. It was the first time, in fact, that we had advertised for a principal across Australia. And it is with great pride that I watch now Mrs. Wentman, Mr. Gillam and Mr. Wilson, and the extraordinary work and achievements that they've done. Because remember, there were so many new ideas that were happening all at the same time, and it was their responsibility to make that dream come true. And I would like to say how much I've appreciated their extraordinary capability in doing that. It's interesting that members of the community have been involved in this school right from its beginning. The members that are here today from Public Works, I'm sure, could tell many stories about the differences of opinion of people when we developed some ideas, and the parents would say, no, 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 we don't like that. And some of the principals from the other school would say, no, 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 we don't like that. And the architects and the builders would have to go back and rethink or argue the point and win. But it really is extraordinary that there's so many people who have managed to get this school to its 5th anniversary. I've been asked this morning to just say to you, where do I think you are going to go in the future? That's probably the most difficult task, and I thought about it long and hard. But as I've sat here this morning, it became very easy. Once again, I have seen this morning extraordinary performance. And for those of you who may not know, my background has been in music for many years, and technology and educational administration. But it's the performance that always attracts me. And so I thought it would be worthwhile to say to you that probably if I share with you that in 1956, a 17-year-old young man, probably a young man who'd worked long, hard hours, swam 1,500 metres. And that was in Melbourne at the Olympic Games in the extraordinary time of 17.58 minutes. In fact, it was 17.58.90. If you look at the pictures in the paper of how Murray Rose looked when he came out of the pool, he was absolutely exhausted. It was very difficult to even raise a smile. But let's leap now to 1992, when another extraordinary young man, the same age as many of you students in the hall who are in year 12 or year 11, 17 years old. And this was in Barcelona. And here was a young man who swam the same distance in an extraordinary 14.56.40 seconds. Minutes and seconds, sorry. And that was none other than Kieran Perkins. When he came out of the pool, he was smiling. It was almost as if he could have got back in and swum some more. What was the difference? What difference had those years made? It's the difference in performance. Performance that was incredibly improved over that period of time by careful, bit-by-bit improvement. And who did it? Well, I guess the people themselves, but the approach was very scientific. Those swimmers had great coaches. In this school, you students who are going to perform in the future, I think you have to think about the coaches you have here. You have extraordinary coaches, coaches who give their time, give their energy, and really give their knowledge to you to take you into the future. Let me explain to you what the difference in that performance really meant. Was if both of those swimmers had started on the blocks at the same time, those of you who are good mathematicians might be able to work out that in fact Kieran Perkins would have won the race by 6.5 laps. Now that's the kind of performance that we all are facing in the future. We have to improve. The question is, how do we do it? I think this is a school that will take up that challenge in the future. You have the leadership, you have the staff, and I'm sure among the students, from what I'm hearing, there is phenomenal quality. It's up to you. You have everything that I think any of us could ever want. Wonderful buildings, wonderful facilities. Please don't waste the opportunity. As I sat here and I thought, and I looked around and I saw one very special person, Dr. Stephen Law, from the Chinese community, who worked so closely with me during that period. And he and I have spoken long and hard about this school and about its students. And I'm sure he and I both know that the future will be in the hands of young men and women like yourselves who take up the challenge, as Kieran Perkins did, and aims for continuous, wonderful, and happy improvement. Happy birthday.
Welcome to Cherrybrook Technology High School.
And I've often said this, and I'll say it again and again. Some 4 years ago, some people went out and communicated the fact that they were going to beg, borrow or steal a high school for Cherrybrook. And at the time they told the power, I didn't mean they told the powers that be, that they had to dig deep. And dig deep they did, some $17 million later.
That's the horticulture facility down there, which we should wander down and have a look at. The trees over on the far side have been moved twice, where they are. Yeah, they do. They were.
Once again, I would like to welcome you all. Thank so many parents for coming. At the end of the assembly, Year 7 will be meeting and then going off to tour the school. And the P&C and staff would like to invite the parents to a morning tea.
Years may go, quickly go. Some go fast, very fast. Some go slow, oh so slow. Some are good, very good. Some are bad, very sad. For each one, for what comes, just be glad. Let's be glad. Whenever I review my love and times with you, I wouldn't change a single page we've lived through. It wasn't always smooth. Sometimes we jumped the groove. We shed some tears and then loved again. Years may come.
It's got 6 points, and 6 points stand for the states and territories of Australia.
Not a stick of chalk in sight. This is Cherrybrook Technology High School and the shape of education in the next century. Students here aren't set assignments, they're given design briefs. The $17 million school offers students a glimpse of what lies ahead in the workforce, incorporating the latest technology in every subject. Even the sewing machines are computer-aided. Cherrybrook High is so far ahead of other state schools, little wonder it's creating unprecedented demand. Families are actually moving to the area so their children can come here. A baby born this week has already been enrolled. And it's not just parents and teachers singing the school's praises.
We're just like a big family here. It's unbelievable. Like everyone, they want to come to school. It's like before, oh, I don't want to go to school, but every day you're looking forward to coming to school, learning different things and using the different equipment that they've got here.
Nick Greiner performed the official opening with the help of a student-programmed robot arm. The school is undoubtedly a showpiece for the government, but education authorities deny money is being pumped into Cherrybrook at the expense of other schools.
Everyone here must now understand my pride and my admiration for the teachers and students of Cherrybrook Technology High School.
The next items from the school highlight various outcomes from the performances. Our present Year 12 drama will present some moments from their production last term of Nick Enright's very topical play, A Property of the Clan. This was based on the death of schoolgirl Lily from Newcastle some years ago. Many of you may recognise it as a new Australian movie, Black Rock. Following that, we have a solo performance from Suzanne Chin of Year 10, who will play Norman Reagan by Franz Liszt. Then representatives of our new Year 7 and representatives from the PD Health PE Key Learning area will perform the dance they have choreographed to Young Hearts Run Free. Before that, however, we have one of our very first school captains, Sathya Tharmakuma, school captain of 1994, who would like to address our assembly.
Well, it's been a while since I've been at an assembly this size, and it's lovely to be standing here again after almost 2.5 years, I think it is. Let me first congratulate CTHS on reaching this milestone, 5 years old. I know that it's been a very long journey, but one that has been travelled with persistence, dedication, and a vision in sight. Many things have changed since I left. As the student body has grown, more and more has been added on. And in these 5 years at CTHS, the school has had the most difficult task of having to establish its own traditions. As the school captain in the second Year 12 to have passed through the school, I saw some of that in the making. I was here to congratulate the first Year 12 to graduate, the class of 93, the first school formal, and other firsts such as the first school production. A few years ago, I sat on this very stage and listened to Valerie, one of the school captains before me, talk about how far the school had come since she had left. And one of the things that amazed her was the fact that the school band was sounding so good when only such a short while ago no such thing had existed. She continued to talk about how proud she was of the school's achievements. But all I remember was looking across at the people sitting on the stage, Mrs. Wetman, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Gillum, and a few other select teachers and students. And this immense pride was just shining on their faces. And as Valerie progressed through her speech, you could feel everyone in the hall just swell with this strong sense of school spirit. And it was one of the best feelings. And at the end of her speech, the applause was just deafening. It really was a proud moment for all concerned. She had managed to inspire everyone. And now to see that the school has come even further and has a firm grounding in the community and the respect of all that know what the school is about. Although in some of my experiences, when I have said that I went to Cherrybrook Technology High, people give you this suspicious once-over, I've never heard of that school. To which you then launch into a whole, well, yes, it's only a new school, and yes, it is a technology high school, but no, that doesn't mean that everyone at the school is a computer nerd, and we don't have computers instead of textbooks. But just recently, I had an interview with a fairly large accounting firm, and the gentleman giving the interview was really somber and serious, and he seemed very uninterested and bored, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, great, what am I doing here? This is the biggest mistake. But the moment that he saw that I went to CTHS, his face just lit up, and I couldn't get the guy to shut up. I mean, okay, well, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, but he was going on and on about the things that he'd heard about the school and its very commendable reputation. And of course, I had to slip in there, well, you do know I was school captain there, don't you? And out of perhaps the 20-minute interview, half of the time was spent asking me questions about the school and my involvement as school captain. And by this time, I'm sitting there thinking, at this rate, I'm going to get the job based solely on the fact that I was a CTHS student. I couldn't believe my luck. And the thing that many of you perhaps don't realise or do realise is that the school, to those that know it or have heard about it or read about it, have so much to say about its excellent reputation and the good things that the school has done. And some of you may not know, but CTHS is also known overseas, which I think really says a lot about the sound standing that this school has, not only locally, but nationally and internationally. But as I have mentioned, the road to achieving this astounding success has not always been easy, as you have heard some of the previous speakers speak about. And as one of the school captains, I only experienced a fraction of the behind-the-scenes effort, which was simply enormous. And much of the commendation has to go to the teaching and administration staff for the hours and hours of work that has been put in before and after school. And of course, where would a school be without its students? In such a short period of time, because after all, considering that some of the other local schools are generations and generations old, CTHS has been able to build a strong atmosphere for academic brilliance, as was reflected in the success of last year's Year 12 HSC results, and creative encouragement such as the annual MAD concert and the fact that the school band toured the States. Already people are buzzing about the school, and it's only 5 years old. You should all be proud that the school is reaching its 5th year, and long after the Year 7s have left the school, you can be assured that CTHS will still be here, standing strong and going on to celebrate many, many years of success. As an ex-student, I'm still happy and proud to say that I was a CTHS student, and again, I would like to congratulate one and all on an excellent job well done. Happy 5th birthday.
I was there. Could have been me. There was this Chimera with a black speed stripe.
She choked in her own spew, they reckon.
They didn't find her till...
It was a psycho from the hospital.
There was this black panel van parked up the other end of the beach.
In the sandhills.
They found one of her earrings first.
Her mother came down, they reckon.
You weren't there, were you?
Yeah, I was there. I saw her. It must have been half an hour before she...
My dad said she was asking for it. Said she always looked like trouble.
They found one of her earrings.
There was a black panel van with Victorian number plates, but nobody saw the driver.
Who found her?
In the sandhills, half covered in sand.
They reckon it was about 5 blokes.
I wonder what she looked like when they... What if he'd been one of the ones that had found her?
It was one of the Maddies from the hospital.
What if it's a psycho? What if he's still around?
What did she look like?
Dead.
Hey! Oh, shh. It's all right. It's all right. What's the matter? Is it your asthma? Where's your Ventolin?
Faces.
Was it a nightmare?
All these faces. And they were throwing things at me. Cigarette butts. Hate everywhere.
Nobody hates you, Jade. Who'd hate you?
Mum. What's it like? When they do it to you, what's it like?
Is that what was happening to you?
No. But they had my pants off. I didn't know whether I'd had it or it was going to happen next thing or what.
Come on, you go back to bed and I promise you'll have a better dream. Come on. It's late. Real late.
I should have been there with you, Trace. A few times that night, I thought I might sneak out. Mum was reading in a room, and I was just watching TV. I could have just left it on, snuck out and come and found you. But I didn't. And I kept thinking, if I had, would it have been different? I woke up that night. All these faces looking down at me. Just hate everywhere. Damn, I should have realised, Tracy, when I went round to your place last night and saw the cop cars and the guys from the channel. I should have realised that nightmare, it wasn't one. It was you calling to me. Because all the faces. And they were guys' faces. And I knew every single one of them.
We stood together at the funeral, at the tree planting. We sat together at assembly and you didn't show a thing.
Oh, I never even knew her. Want to say hello to? What do you want me to do? Blow my eyes like all the girls? Oh, I'm sorry. Of course I'm sorry. What happened to her shouldn't happen to a dog. What else you want to hear?
What you felt. What you're feeling.
I'll let the cops sort it out, all right? Let's just all get on with living.
Living.
I'm sorry, Rachel.
Well, what do you want, Jared?
I want things to be the way they were. The way they show us on TV. Animals from across the water. Blackos, those goons from Black Rock Point. Looking at us like we're another type of species. Like we crawled out from under a rock.
Wondering if he was the one who did it. The one who raped her.
No one knows it was rape.
You don't tell me everything you do.
I'll tell you heaps of stuff.
I was there. What time? The time we said. I saw you. And he was there. They didn't kill her, Diane. They didn't do murder.
They easily could have done. It's just one step further, isn't it?
One step? Quite a few. No one says a word about the boys. Why blokes grow up the way they do.
And why no one ever tries to change them.
Hey, Jane.
Hey, Rico. Thought you'd gone away.
Well, I'm back.
Why?
You miss your mates. My mates are here. Does Tracy talk to you?
Who told you?
Not saying, but that's the word. Does she? Does Tracy talk to you?
Sometimes. Sometimes I feel like she is.
What does she say?
Things.
Things? What things?
Just things.
What sort of things?
Secret things.
About that night, eh?
No, Rico, she was my friend.
I never would have picked you and her for friends.
Well, why not?
I just never would have picked it. You weren't her type.
Well, what type was she?
You got a boyfriend yet, Jay? I never see you.
Rico, don't.
Get on home. Mom's looking for you.
Why?
You know the rules, home by dark. Mate, don't do that. I was just yakking with her. Yeah, well, not about that. Were you trying to get on my sister? Oh, mate. Were you? She's just a kid. You were, weren't you? She's your baby sister. If you ever try anything on Jay, I'm not into kids. You're into anything that moves. I said I had my eye on her for months, but she just turned around and started walking off. Said she had to find her other earring. Earring? That's when I lost it. I grabbed hold of her arm and threw her into the sand. I could have gone down there any moment. I could have stopped her. I mean, even at the end, I could have taken her home, and she would never have died.
Wayne Paul Henley.
Louder, please.
Wayne Paul Henley. 16 years old.
Scott Richard Abbott, 16 years old. July 7th, 1975. On the night of October 26th.
Robert John Davidson, 17 years old, 12th of September 1974.
Brett Christopher Ricketson, 19 years old, 23 Waruna Street, Black Rock Point, unemployed.
You know, if we're really honest with ourselves, most of us get a thrill out of other people's misfortunes. I mean, when something as bad as this happens to a girl our age, I believe most of us think, I'm glad it's not me. I'm sorry that this happened, but I'm glad it's not me. But until we think it is me, stand up and say that what happened to Tracy happened to all of us. Nothing is going to change.
That brings to an end this special assembly to celebrate the first 5 years of Cherrybrook Technology High School. No birthday celebration is complete, however, without a birthday cake, such as that which has been made and iced by the Stage 5 Food Technology students and is on display here at the front of the auditorium. Each student will receive a piece of birthday cake at roll call this afternoon following lunch from the special food stalls that have been organised by year and stage committees. After lunch, students and teachers are joining in an afternoon of games and entertainment.
Thank you all so much for being a part of this celebration, especially our special guests and friends and former students of the school who are now invited to join us for lunch in the senior study. Please stand while the official party leaves.